Hey everybody, it's Bridget here from Bridget's Healthy Kitchen, wishing you a wonderful day wherever you are in the world. I hope you're well and I hope you are keeping safe. Thank you for joining me in the kitchen studio. We are doing I suppose it's a little bit like a lockdown class because I'm currently, or quite a few of us are currently experiencing lockdown where we are. And when I'm in lockdown, I tend to spend a little bit more time than normal in the kitchen. And one of the foods that I like to bake happens to be bread. But of course my bread has to be gluten-free and sugar-free and dairy-free and grain-free. But this bread goes one step forward, or a couple steps forward. It's also yeast-free. And for some people who are unable to get hold of yeast, it does tend to be a little bit more harder to find during lockdown when people like to start baking their own bread, but it's also nut-free as well. So there's lots of frees in there, but it is really simple to make. Like seriously simple. So that's why I call it Chia coconut easy bread, because it is really, really simple. You don't have to roll it, you don't have to mold it on a bench. None of that sort of stuff. There's only a few simple ingredients, and those ingredients are completely packed full of goodness for you guys. So let's get into the recipe. As I was saying, one of those simple ones, don't blink, you might miss it. We're going to work directly into my mixing bowl here, put it straight onto the scales, making it nice and easy for you to be able to measure straight into here. So we're going to start with the dry ingredients. Come on. Just making it go into, I don't want to measure it in liquid, I want to measure it in grams. Okay, there we go, perfect. So we're going to start with the dry ingredients, and then we're going to mix the wet ingredients together and then basically blend the two. See, I told you guys it was really, really simple. And the dry ingredients, once again, grain-free, gluten-free, and also nut-free as well. We're going to start off with a bit of coconut flour. That's our first ingredient that's going in. So we're going to be putting into here 30 grams, which is 1 ounce of, not quite, just need a little bit more. 30 grams of coconut flour is going in. We're easy peasy. And as well as the coconut flour, because of course it is chia. So let's move on to the chia. And we are using these wonderful chia seeds. And as you guys know, chia seeds are really, really high in fiber. In fact, this entire loaf that we're making is extremely high in fiber. So it's really, really good for us. So chia seeds are high in fiber. They are a good source of omega-3 fatty acids. So they're really good for your brain health. They're high in protein and they're incredibly nutrient dense. So to our bread recipe, we're going to be adding 40 grams, which is 1.4 ounces of our chia seeds. Now, it doesn't matter if you use white chia seeds or you use dark chia seeds, the nutritional content is the same. So don't worry about the color. Once it goes into the bread, doesn't matter at all. So 40 grams or 1.4 ounces of our chia seeds go in. We're going to be adding in some psyllium husk, healthy. Everything about this bread is extremely healthy, but trust me, it still tastes really, really good. So when it comes to our psyllium husk, now it's worth remembering that psyllium husk is a fiber. So it's a fiber that is derived from a plant. Now, because it's a fiber, it's also a prebiotic. So it feeds our healthy gut bacteria, which is really, really cool. As well as that, you know, it promotes sort of regularity within the bowels. So if you suffer from constipation, adding some psyllium husk into your diet is a really, really good idea. So for our psyllium husks, we're going to be adding 30 grams into our dry ingredients, which is 1 ounce of our psyllium husk. And this is really going to help to fortify this bread with that wonderful fiber content that psyllium husk is. But because we're using two types of ingredients that gel really well, which is psyllium husk and chia seeds, it's going to help to hold our bread together. That goes in there. Let's also add a bit of baking soda or bicarb soda. Now, a good idea when it comes to the baking soda, I'm adding 2 teaspoons in here, is you want to make sure that the teaspoon is level, so it's not heaped. That's because it may taste quite strong of a metallic sort of baking soda taste, so make sure it's heaped and put it through a little sieve. Now, this is going to help just to break up any lumps. You've got a few lumps in there. Because the last thing that you want to do is you want to bite down on your slice of bread and you get a big lump of baking soda. So it's a really nice idea. That level teaspoon, we're putting 2 teaspoons in, is to give it a little bit of a shake. which will just make sure that we're not getting lumps in there. Of course, we want to add a little bit of mineral salt. You're going to be adding about 1/3 of a teaspoon, so 1/3 of a teaspoon of mineral salt, and just to balance out that flavors and once again give us a wonderful prebiotic quality to this bread because we want to feed our healthy gut bacteria. I'm going to be adding in as well 1 tablespoon of our pure as inulin powder is going in there as well. So that's the dry ingredients. Pretty simple, I know. Give it a stir. Make sure it's well blended. If you've got sort of lumps of coconut flour, you may want to get rid of them just by giving them a bit of a squish. But you know what? This is kind of the hardest thing that you're going to do when it comes to this bread. Seriously. It's just making sure there's no lumps of coconut flour. You could even put them through that little sieve as well if you wanted to. So once that's done, pop that off to the side. We're going to now mix the wet ingredients. There isn't much to this as well. I told you, easy peasy. So when it comes to the wet ingredients, we're going to be adding in 3 large eggs. And I always like to make sure my eggs are at room temperature when it comes to baking. I find that it gives it a really even bake. So you want to make sure your eggs are at room temperature if you can. It's going to help to mix through the dry ingredients as well. So 3 whole eggs or large eggs go in there. We're going to add in 2 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar. This is going to help with the color formation. It's also going to help with the balance of flavors as well that's in there. And the last ingredient, and once again, super duper healthy, is I have over here some kombu water. I made some kombu stock recently, and I've just had it on my cooktop, so it's just warm, because you want to add warm kombu water into here. And what you want to do, straight into the eggs, is you want to add in 140 mils of warm kombu water. And as you guys know, kombu water will help to regulate the metabolism, really good for your thyroid health as well. So that sea vegetable infusion is fantastic. So 140 grams, which is 4.7 ounces, goes in there. And once you've done that, you've got all your wet ingredients together, just taking up a little whisk and just mix it all together. And that's all you've got to do for the wet ingredients. And remember what I said next? We blend the wet ingredients, we blend the dry ingredients, and then we mix them all together. Like I said, there's no proofing in this recipe for bread, there's no kneading, nothing. You don't need any fancy bits of equipment. You literally need a couple of bowls, and then you mix them all together. Now, when you do this, you might find that it looks a little bit odd. I'll be completely honest with you, because what you have here, it looks like you've got a bit of a slip happening. But what this requires, because remember we're dealing with 2 quite gel-like substances, which is the psyllium husk and the chia seeds, and they actually need time to absorb that kombu water that we've just put in here. And by the way, this does not taste at all like seaweed. If you're wondering like, oh, I don't want to taste like seaweed bread, you cannot taste it. Trust me, trust me, trust me. There is no flavor there whatsoever, but you have added so much goodness when you're using the kombu water. So give it a stir, and don't, I mean, right now you've got quite a loose dough, so it should be able to just fall off the spoon really easy. Does not look like bread at all. So the idea now is to allow this time for the psyllium husk and the chia seeds to absorb that kombu water, and as they absorb it, they will thicken quite significantly. So here's one I prepared earlier. Oh, I'll show you the difference actually. This has been sitting for about 10 minutes. That's what you've got to leave it for. You can see, look, that's really firm compared with this is the one that we've just done. So just leave it for 10 minutes and you will literally get a complete change in texture in this dough, which is what you want. So it's basically ready. It's ready now to go into your tin. Now this doesn't make a huge loaf, but trust me when I say that this is full of fiber. So this is not a type of bread loaf that I suggest you eat the whole thing in one sitting, because remember, it's full of fiber and you might experience a few little gut issues going on down there if you eat the whole thing. Less is more when it comes to this. So I am using a really small, as you can see, loaf pan, but it will not even fill this loaf pan. So let's have a little bit of a look at the texture. Really firm, which is perfect. So much so that you could probably pick it up with your hands, and obviously clean hands. You can pick it up and it's able to be held together just like that, and that's when you know it is just perfect. Like I said, it takes about 10 minutes. So you just want to kind of mold it into the shape of something. And I'm just going to stick it down one end of this loaf tin because it is a very small loaf, but my goodness, it packs such a I just kind of want to mold it like this gorgeous little loaf. And see, a little bit of baking paper there, and then all you've got to think about doing is just taking up just a little bit more of that kombu water and just brushing the top of it just ever so gently with a little bit of kombu water. It's going to help it to just color up while it's in the oven. And this is going to be put into the oven set at 170 degrees Celsius, which is 320 degrees Fahrenheit. And you want to leave this in the oven because it's such a dense little loaf. You want to leave it in there for about 50 to 55 minutes, and it will rise, it'll be lovely and golden. And the best way to tell if it is cooked is just to gently put firstly the color, like visually look at the color, it should be a lovely dark golden brown, but then just take your finger and gently place it onto the top of the bread and it should spring back up at you. So 50 to 55 minutes, and that's in a fan-forced oven set at 170 degrees Celsius, which is 320 degrees Fahrenheit. And after that, you will have something along the lines of that. As you can see, that is your gorgeous little loaf of bread. So when it's ready, when your bread is ready, you can see it's just got that lovely, lovely color over the top. I actually made a couple. I've actually made lots because I really, really like it. You can see it's got that lovely color on top there. Now it's definitely a good idea, as soon as it comes out of the oven, remove the bread from the tin and put it onto a wire rack just to prevent it from getting a soggy bottom. So you don't want to leave it in the tin and then just leave it to cool down on your wire rack. And this bread, now this is why I bought 2 loaves in. Well, half a loaf because me and Mahi ate the other half. But I just want to show you this. Now I made this bread yesterday morning, and check out how moist. Can you see that? How moist it still is. It's pretty awesome, this bread. Through, because what it does is the psyllium husk absorbs the water in your body as well and makes it really, really easy to go. And it does a very similar thing in this bread as well. It holds onto, it locks in the moisture, as does the chia seeds, so you get that. That is more than 24 hours old, and I still have this wonderful springy texture in that bread. And how does it taste? My goodness, it is fabulous. Now this bread will keep for 4, 5, 6 days if you leave it in the fridge. I mean, I had mine out just on the bench because it's pretty cold here in Sydney, so I just had mine out on the bench. But you know, there's not a lot of ingredients in there that's going to make it go off very quickly, and it does last a while. But what you can do, if you wanted to keep it for a long period of time, like you could make quite a few of these loaves all at once, and then you could slice them into the slices that you want, and then freeze them in slices for up to 3 months. So it's got really good quick keeping qualities. So I just want to show you how well it slices as well. So you can get great slices out. Remember, this is more than 24 hours old, and the bread still looks like, look at that. It still look at that. See? That's a sign of a good piece of bread, because look how bendy it is. It's still got a wonderful bend on it, and it's just absolutely fabulous. Now you can have it toasted, of course, put some avocado on that as well. There's so many ways you can have it, but a really nice way to enjoy it is we made a curry last night, and we made a curry. Me and Mahi made a curry last night. The fish curry is gorgeous. I'm actually going to share the recipe with you guys towards the end of the week. It's a fish curry and a coconut gravy. Oh my goodness, it was fabulous. And I just take a piece of this bread into the coconut gravy. My word, fabulous, amazing. I know you're going to enjoy this bread recipe, so that lockdown coconut chia bread. If you would like, come and join us over at our recipe sharing platform as well, which is modkai.com. So it's modkai.com. That is our own private platform where we share recipes that are really easy to download, print off, or you can even just look at your device and follow the recipe online without having to print anything off. That'll be shared on Modkai tonight, actually. This recipe is going on Modkai tonight. So if you like the recipe, either wait for tomorrow, Bridget's Healthy Kitchen on Facebook, or join us on modkai.com. Until the next time, I look forward to seeing you guys again. Back here in the studio, we'll be doing a fish curry and a coconut gravy. It's gorgeous. All right, everyone, please be well, be safe. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Turning it off. Bye, guys.